We move forward with confidence, knowing that the things that we desire are a divine idea in the mind of God, divinely guided and provided by the Spirit of God for greater health, for greater well-being, love, relationships, and divine right action in each area of our lives. And we move forward this day knowing and accepting that and planning with grace and confidence, planning what we like and knowing that the good that we desire is already at hand. And we are open and receptive to greater good, greater joy, greater knowingness that this power is readily available and that where it resides, it's inside of us. We do not look outside for the solutions of problems. We go to spirit inside and find the answers to all things, all problems, any situation. We know and accept this oneness. And as we move through the year and through this month, we rely on the Spirit for everything. For it is life itself. It is the life force in each and every one of us. It is omnipotent, omni-action, omnipresence, meaning it is always, always ready and willing to assist us. The creativity of the Spirit of God created us in the image and likeness of this divine power. And we use this power constructively. For we know that God is love, that God is peace, that God is love and happiness and joy. And those qualities are in each one of us. And as we explore and use these talents and these gifts, greater joy, greater health, and greater well-being. And we let go and let God. And with the divine presence of God and the divine guidance and the love of God, I release this treatment into the law of mind in action, knowing that all things are working together for good in all our lives. And so it is.
Today I'm reading from 365 Days of Richer Living by Ernest Holmes. And it's April 1st, I am divinely guided to right action. I am divinely guided to right action in every experience of this day. I know that true wisdom is of God and that it uses my consciousness as its seat of operation. God is the shepherd of my life. And this inner mind and love guides me into paths of perfection and ways of joy. God's perfect action can never cease and can never be delayed. Always it guides me. Always it inspires me. Always it blesses and benefits me. I rejoice in my inner source of truth, for it never fails me. Each hour I am sustained by truth. Each moment, I am led into right action. Each instant, I am inspired to do the loving thing, to speak the loving word. Because I follow the guidance of the Spirit within me, I am a blessing to my fellow man. Infinite mind sustains me at every moment. It never fears indecision, for divine ideas lead me aright. I never fear indecision, for divine ideas lead me aright. There is a power born of God which indwells me, upholds me, and guides me. I am receptive to it, and I am blessed and benefited by it. Divine inspiration is upon me, and I rejoice in its wise instruction. I am powerful in my decision, and the law produces my good. God in me knows what to do, how to do it, when to do it. I am now one with God, and this full knowledge is now mine. I am free from all uncertainty, for my God delivers every idea to me at the instant of time that I need it. The Lord is my shepherd, and I let my inner Lord control my mind, discipline my emotions, and keep straight my affairs. All doubts is destroyed. All truth is revealed. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that wonderful reading. That is also the foundation today to receive a blessing from the lesson and from all of the work that we are doing together. And now we have our announcements. So we will have a Wednesday night class with Barbara Blake on meditation. She will continue teaching you things about meditation. So if you want to learn a little bit about how to meditate, how to find peace within, Barbara Blake will be doing that for you this coming Wednesday evening. And it begins at 6:30, and it's at the Unitarian Universalist Center. You can see Barbara after the lesson if you have any further questions. And that will be a wonderful opportunity and blessing for anyone who attends. So we finally have some flyers. We had them for you last week, and they are on the back table. Michelle Pascal is doing a concert for us at the end of April. That's April 28th. They call him the medicine voice. When he's in a room, his voice transforms everything. Those of you who have heard him before know what I'm talking about. So put this on your calendar and plan on being here that day. It's going to be a wonderful event. My class continues. That will begin today at 12:30. The 5 gifts of an abundant life. And gifts is an acronym for gratitude, intention, forgiveness, tithing, and surrender. It's a wonderful class, and we're all enjoying it and appreciating it. Okay. Sometimes I forget the musician, but not today. Okay. So today I am going to warmly welcome Ira and Julia Levin. So please welcome them.
So we're, it's the Yellow Brick Road today, so we thought we'd have some fun. There you go. That's fun. It's always fun when it works. Now this is only going to be fun if we all do it together.
with me?
Side by side, come on. Yeah.
Testing? Good? Okay, so it's going to be a little bit different than some of our past collaborations, but it's still going to come off awesomely. So we decided that because March is St. Patrick's Day, we decided to take a journey to the Emerald City in the Wizard of Oz. And to do that, we're also going to journey through divine guidance, and the class Gary and I taught last winter, the beginning of the year, the power of decision. And we're very excited to put all of that together and share that information with you in the lesson today. So I'm not going to even recap what the Wizard of Oz is. I'm going to get right into what we're going to do today, and harnessing that inner power of our divine guidance when it's strong, okay? So outside, you had that tornado that took place, and what happened? She got very caught up in it, and she ended up where she ended up. There was no decision. The outside forces took their part, and she ended up someplace. And she ended up in this land that was very foreign to her, very uncomfortable, and she wanted to get home. And when I say she, I mean Dorothy. Dorothy wants to go home. I want to go home. And so sometimes even when it's storming outside, you're in an uncomfortable situation, you're put in a position that you don't want to be in or where you don't want to be. You are, in fact, divinely guided. Whether you're at home in Kansas, in Oz, or wherever that other town was that she landed in, it doesn't matter. You have that divine presence within you. So we're going to realize through this lesson that you have this divine guidance, this givingness, this divine givingness that is always giving to you. And Cinnabon, yeah, that's good for breakfast in the morning. The synonyms of mind, brain, the scarecrow, of love for the heart and the Tin Man, and what was the other one? And courage, which is maybe also faith. Okay, so those are the synonyms that we're going to be using. And now we're off, and hopefully you'll all join us in that journey down the Yellow Brick Road. And I'm starting with the character of Dorothy, and she's searching for her way home, and she's constantly searching, looking for outside validation. As human beings, we have a tendency to do that, don't we? We ask this one before we do this. We ask that one before we do this. We do it. We do it. But sometimes we need to ask, and not sometimes, all times, we need to go within and be divinely guided. Be given, divinely given. What is our next step? What is the best thing? When we're looking outside of ourselves, we're allowing that power of decision to be made by others, not by the intelligence of us within. So Dorothy was exactly where she needed to be, and she thought she was in this very, very dark place. I don't know where I am. I don't know how to get home. I'm not safe. However, when you're in that dark space and you're feeling overwhelmed, buried, put on the idea of, I've been planted. I've been planted somewhere where I can blossom and grow into exactly what divinely guides me towards my highest and greatest good. And this is a quote from The Power of Decision. To say you do not know what to do or you do not know what you want is to negate the infinite intelligence, your divine guidance, which is individualized in you therefore saying, you're too lazy to determine on your own experience. What? Most of us would say, oh, no, but we have a tendency as humans to do that. And that another person is actually better equipped to determine your own good. That's what we do when we place the decisions in someone else other than being divinely guided. And the last thing I want to cover on Dorothy is that if you're in a position to help someone, which is what she does as she goes on down this yellow brick road, right? What does she do? She meets the lion, the scarecrow, the tin man, and she helps them. The universe is putting people in your path to help you and for you to help others. And you are helping others to progress through you when you're helping them. So it's a two-way street. There's that law of giving and receiving. When you're divinely guided, you are putting yourself in the path to help yourself and to help others. So now we'll move on to who's first? The character of the Tin Man. And he's all rusty and he can't move. And he's looking for a heart. So we really think about the heart as being love. And it's actually, I was brought up to think that love is, the opposite of love is fear. And we all know false expectations appearing real. Okay, that's been said and said again. But during my research for this, I came across two others that really spoke to me. And they were, and this is the power of decision. So feel fear, and you can feel it momentarily, because it's only a level of love. If you really think about it, it's just another name that we have for love being a 10, woo, and then fear being maybe like a 1 of love. It's just an aspect of love. Some people would call it HATE, but I like the idea of fear better. So with that context in mind, you could have the saying of forget everything and run, which is usually what we do when we fear something. We try to avoid it, we run away from it, we don't want to have anything to do with it. Panic. But you can also choose to say, face it all and rise. And you're divinely guided to step into that. Face it all and rise. So thinking of it as love on the scale, I just want to move it up the scale. Move it up the scale to a 3, move it up the scale to the 7, move it up the scale to the 10. And that can all be done by looking inside, not outside, but inside. And it's not anyone's job to love you, but you. And that's very clear by the end, you know, if you're looking at The Wizard of Oz from a metaphysical level. It's only to love you. And then we have the lion, the next character in the story. And I don't know if these are actually in the order that she comes across them. I'm going to be honest with you. This is just the order I've chosen to present them to you in. So the lion doesn't have courage. He's the cowardly lion, as I said. Taking courage and renaming it as faith, trust. When you trust in life, and this is also a quote from The Power of Decision, when you trust in life, it reduces the pressure of your everyday living. It makes you feel that the whole world is supporting you at all times. This is exactly what divine guidance is doing. It's supporting you. It's your silent partner. It's always there. It's never not there. It is always with you. So if you have this faith and trust You know that anything you need to know, you will know when you need to know it. That's when you're divinely guided. If you just step out into the world and know that I will know what to say when I need to say it. I will know what to do when I need to do it. I know that I'm being divinely guided in every aspect of what I do, what I say, and how I interact with everyone. And so this is a little fun part. We've probably all heard of Katy Perry's song Raw, or at least I hope most of us have. So when you're holding on to yourself without the courage or faith in something, I hope that you can maybe bring that song to mind. And what she says actually is, I am a champion and you're going to hear me raw. So what I'd like us to do, audience participation please, is I am faith, or I am trust, whatever word you would like to use, even if you want to put I am divinely guided. And hear me roar, okay? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. I am divinely guided, and you're gonna hear me roar. Awesome. Thank you for participating on that. But should you get yourself into a situation, you could just think of that. I'm divinely guided, and you're gonna hear me roar. I have faith. I have trust. Know that. Know that that silent partner isn't so silent intuitively sometimes. And let me just see how we're doing on time, because I have a quick little story that I'd like to share if. And so we're not going to share the story, I don't have time. But I was hoping we did. Okay, real quick. Talk about divine guidance. The day that I hurt my leg, I was in the drawer getting dressed, and it said to me, put on ripped jeans. I'm like, I'm not going to wear ripped jeans to work. I mean, I probably wouldn't have gotten fired for wearing them, but I'm not going to do it. And again, it was like, put on the ripped jeans. Well, less than 3 hours later, the EMT was cutting my jeans off my leg. That was the last time I did not listen to my divine guidance. So sometimes it comes across very strongly than others. And you have a power of decision to choose. Am I going to wear the ripped jeans? And I was like, no, I'm not going to wear ripped jeans. This voice is telling me this. No. Why not? Because I don't want to be looked upon at work as, why are you wearing ripped jeans, or called into the office or whatever, because of outside pressures, let's just say, the collective consciousness of what or how you should appear. And every character that we're talking about here is wearing a mask. And I'll get into that. So the next person that we come across is the Scarecrow, and he's looking for a brain. So there's one mind, one intelligence that we all think into. And so therefore, there's oneness. We're all intimately connected. Most of the times when we start spiritual mind treatment, we start with the one mind, the one life, the one truth. There's this oneness. And most human beings, and as human beings we have a tendency to do this, we measure ourselves in fact and intellect. Fact and intellect. Oh, what was your SAT score? What did you get? Did you get 100 on that test? Did you get a C? What did you get? That's how, as human beings, the outside world has a tendency to measure us. GMATs, LMATs, whatever, all those kind of testing, AP, bios, and all those things. Divine guidance, intuition, gives you the idea the thought you think is going to create fact in your life. And therefore, the ideas create the fact. And then you know that your ideas, I can't read after that. But then you know that your ideas, that you have that idea, that it has now become the fact. You've thought into it. You've created it. You are a creative dynamo. We are always in a creative process because we're divinely guided in everything that we do. So there is only us. There's no them. There's no anything else other than us. And by that I mean we have the oneness. So there is no them over there. There's still us. In that core, in that spiritual core, they are us. And so by thinking that and realizing and constantly being aware of this oneness, in the purpose, the infinite mind makes awareness of itself. True divine guidance doesn't deal with it. It deals with self-awareness. And that's what we're all doing here today, is to becoming more self-aware of our divine guidance. Divine guidance is the process of self-awakening. By taking that next step and saying, okay, I got that little hint, that little push in a direction. Do I take it or don't I? Power of decision. So divine guidance reveals what you have always been. And you become aware of yourself not as the allness and the fullness of being. And so once you've embraced and become aware of that and take it with you wherever you go, whether you're in Kansas or whether you're on the road to Oz, you are connected, you are one. And now I'm going to turn it over to Gary for him to continue.
Thank you, Barbara.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Barbara, and thank you all for being here today. I'm so glad you showed up, Emily, because I wanted to talk to you. Barry, everyone that came in. Hey, I want to first of all say thank you to Reverend Loretta. I've been a practitioner here, I think, maybe 5 or 6 years, and the New York Spiritual Center for Community Living, or do I have it right? Okay, you can read it right here. That's what I mean to say. Has been here 10 years, and I wanted to thank you because at the moment that I met you and I wanted to have a spiritual home, you welcomed me, and you said yes. And so from that, you are modeling the way I think spirit and perfect intelligence that we're talking about. I think that's how it kind of works. So this week we were supposed to, with our partners, say the things that we were grateful for. This morning I want to say thank you to you. I'm not sucking up, kind of like, who was it? Christopher, where he's not here today, but he was kind of sucking up to Reverend Loretta last week in the class. I'm not doing that, although it probably appears, but yeah, he's not here to defend himself anyway. And I want to thank Barbara because, last year we had co-facilitated the power of decision, and I kind of remind everyone that we weren't teaching it, or else I didn't look at my role as being a teacher of the power of decision, because I had even completed reading the book at the time we agreed to start the class. I felt that my role was a facilitator to bring the information for our consideration. And we worked very hard to do a lot of preparation and to understand the material and to bring it in such a way that as adults we can learn this. I think that adult learning is such a different thing than when we were taught in school, at least in the era that I went to school, that to connect with material and to have a relevance to your life today, we have to come at it from a different angle. And I know it was annoying for the people that were in the class, Robert and Emily and Christopher and who else was in the class that I'm not saying here today. It was annoying because we brought some strange things in. We brought in the Star Trek episodes and scripts. We brought in like, what does that have to do with it? But to me, there was relevance. But the reason I'm even saying this now is that it's been, The Power of Decision by Raymond Charles Barker was written in 1968. Last year was exactly 50 years of the release of that book. And I just say for our consideration, Raymond Charles Barker filled Avery Fisher Hall down the street here every Sunday for a number of years. And I don't know if anyone in this audience was able to see him or hear him speak directly, but he left us quite a legacy of teachings. And you, Enrique, yeah, did you actually hear him speak? Okay, cool, yeah. So today it's like 50 years in one day since we finished our considering of the power of decision in 2018, so now it's 2019. And here we are on the cusp of so many things that are great that we never expected to be involved with. We're going to celebrate this summer in July. We're going to celebrate 50 years of landing on the moon. I remember as a child going to Expo 67 and they had mock-ups of what was going to happen, the lunar module, and they showed us how this was going to happen. And I was 11 years old at that time, or I think 11 years old at that time, and I was just like, wow, this is what man can do. This is what mankind, this is what we're going to do. I'm way off script here, Barbara, by the way. But you know what? That's another thing. Reverend Loretta had asked me over the course of this last year if I had anything to say, and I really didn't feel like I had anything to say, but I do have something to say about the follow-up to the power of decision, because I've had a year to sit with this material and to think about this material. And this is where Emily is going to be very annoyed with me yet again. But who said, I am perfect intelligence, I'm pure intelligence, always acting intelligently? Anyone? Whoever said that? Robert. Robert said it. Emily, do you have any, who said it? Robert said it? Did anyone else say it? Well, Raymond Charles Barker said it because actually he wrote it. But how about let's all say that together, because I want to see how you feel about that. And the words are this. I'm going to read them and let's say them together. I am pure intelligence, always acting intelligently. Let's say that together. I am pure intelligence, always acting intelligently. How do you feel about that? Some people feel good, and some people are not saying anything, which means something, only that they know what that means to them. I am pure intelligence, always acting intelligently. Raymond Charles Barker says at the beginning of the chapter, you are the right person in the right place to correct the right world for yourself. You are the right person. You are in the right place to create the right world for yourself. Is that true in 2019 as it was in 1968 when he wrote these words? Okay, well, we have an amen chorus, and I like that. That's all I needed to say. You know, so I read this somewhere. It said, when you get up to stand and talk to people or whatever, he said, this could have been so much shorter if I had more time. And this is so true. We have a month of Sundays of stuff to talk about this. But when Barbara said, let's bring this into the context of follow the Yellow Brick Road. So this is what I was thinking. The power of decision, Follow the yellow brick road. What does that mean? And what meaning can we bring to that? We can talk about the characters, and Barbara has introduced the characters. Dorothy, she was an orphan girl. She found herself in this tornado, and this house swirled around from Kansas, and it landed on some witch. And her witch little legs were sticking out from under the house. Remember that? Okay. Then who does she have as her companion? Toto, her dog, and her dog was small, and she could pick up Toto, but Toto was loyal to Dorothy. This is going to play a very important part in the outcome of this story. Toto, okay? And then along the way, who does she meet? She meets a scarecrow who's stuck up on a stick and can't move. And Dorothy's asking him, well, which way should I go? And he said, well, you could go that way, or you could go that way, or whatever. And so Dorothy's intuitive nature, and this is like the important part, is because where do we come in touch with our intuitive nature? Her intuitive nature was to help the scarecrow off the stick. And if she had left him on the stick and just said, he's a dumb scarecrow. He doesn't have a brain. But her intuitive, caring nature, she did take him off the stick, okay? So who else did she meet along the way? She met a Tin Man. Tin Man was stuck because apparently it had rained and he left his oil can out of reach or whatever. And so Dorothy's intuitive nature brought the oil can, applied the oil, and let the Tin Man move forward. That's heart, right? Along the way, things happen. We forgot about the Munchkin land and all that. So there's so much material. We could go a month of Sundays on the Wizard of Oz, but let's go to the Cowardly Lion. What does that mean? What does it mean that you meet a lion who's supposed to have the reputation for being strong and roar and like ferocious, but is not that? Where does that have relevance in our teaching? And so, who likes to play Jeopardy? Because this is like adult learning. You know, where you give the answer and then you give the question, right? So, does everyone like that? Ira's got the music. Okay, so for 20 points, I'm going to ask you this. It's a Jeopardy question. So I'm going to skip over that. I've got the question because this is like where our teaching touches the wizard, the road. The rubber meets the road on the yellow brick road on the Wizard of Oz. Do you remember in our Science of Mind magazine, every month is published What We Believe by Ernest Holmes? Okay, so that's the category. And for 20 points, the answer is, where is it on my notes? I should have this. The answer is, I'll just have to remember this. The answer is the complete emancipation of discord of every nature. What is the question? The answer is the complete emancipation of discord of every nature. For 20 points, anyone, what is the answer? The answer is, okay, what is the question? I'm sorry. What is the question? We're playing Jeopardy. I'm situationally aware. We're playing Jeopardy. I'm Alex up here. The answer is the complete emancipation of discord of every nature, and it is sure to be attained by all. What is the question? From what we believe. Grab your Science of Mind magazines. What do we believe? The ultimate goal of life. The ultimate goal of life is the complete emancipation of discord of every nature, and it is assured to be obtained by all. Now, I'm going way off script here, but I do want to say to you, I helped my friend plan his partner's celebration of life earlier this month. And there was some shame involved about the nature of his death. He prematurely passed from this plane because of too close of involvement with alcohol, let's say. And it took its course, and there was some shame around that for the people that survived and for himself. And shame is also painful. So when I read something from Ernest Holmes saying, the ultimate goal of life is the complete emancipation of discord of every nature, what does that mean? On my yellow brick road, what does that mean? Are these just words? What does this mean to be emancipated from discord of every nature? Because we know that we have pain as we go down our yellow brick road. To say that it is not true actually goes against what Ernest Holmes has presented to us as a teaching. He says, we do not argue that the condition does not exist. It is true at the level that it is vibrating or existing. Abraham said it another way, and we talked about this last week in the class. The problem is a different vibrational frequency than the solution. There are so many other ways that we can illustrate this. I'm also think of that Edward Fuyang said at Asilomar one year. He said, metaphysicians come in this story. Metaphysicians are coming to the crucifixion of Christ. Christ is hanging on the cross, and the metaphysicians say, I think he said, Eckhart Tolle said, what about this moment is not perfect? And they're standing before Christ who is dying on the cross in this story, okay? And Eckhart Tolle says, what about this moment is not perfect? And Christ says, dude, he's cool. Dude, this pain feels real. Is it real or is it an illusion? So Ernest Holmes, I think, would say that we do not argue that pain is not real, whether it is, quote, an illusion or if it is inflicted as we know from Newtonian physics. There are two ways. Have I gone way over the time? Okay, well, I'll wrap it up. But we had an exercise, and just consider that. That can be a dangling participle in your life of editing or whatever. Because here's the thing, I wanted to wrap this up. And remember in our class, in our class, I asked you to summarize the power of decision in 10 words or less. Does anyone remember that took the class? Robert, do you remember your 10 words? Emily? Rick? Anyone? Okay. Well, I remember my 10 words. And my 10 words that summarize the power of decision was, your decision, quotation marks, still better choices. I leave you for that. If it doesn't make sense to you, then just think about that. Your decision, quotations, still better choices. How does that play into the Wizard of Oz and the Yellow Brick Road or anything? I think how it plays in with that is what you have talked about, you sing about, is raising our consciousness. And where we can raise our consciousness is in that still moment. You can make decisions that are better in that still place. And that is the access that you get from consciously choosing to raise your consciousness. And I apologize for taking too much time. Yeah. No. Oh, did I answer the Jeopardy question? Okay, well, what was the answer? Yes, and I'll say it again. I mean, if I messed that way up, here's the thing. Get your Science in Mind magazine and read What We Believe by Ernest Holmes. And I'll say it again because it's one of the ones that is the most promising and to me sometimes the most challenging part of this teaching. The ultimate goal of life is the complete emancipation of discord of every nature, and this goal is assured to be obtained by all. Wow. Wow. That could be a whole month of Sundays.
Thank you, Gary. So Gary and I talked about concluding in this manner, and we'll do this very briefly. It's an exercise, so if you'd like, please join us in closing your eyes and getting comfortable in your chair. And relax. And what I'd like you to think of is the fact that you are limitless. I am limitless, or I'm unlimited. And now bring the awareness to your feet and your shoes, your feet on the floor, your thighs and your butt in the chair, the clothes on your physical body. Now bring your attention to your forehead, your cheeks, your chin. Can you tell where your skin ends and space begins? Feel your cheeks. Can you tell that space where the air begins and your cheek ends, or your chin? It's almost impossible for you to define yourself as body, meaning an outline and limitation. You are consciousness. The idea of faith, of love, of oneness, of divine guidance is all part of that. And when you make a choice, you change your future. On our journey to Oz, we prepared each for the awareness of what divine guidance does for you and the power of decision. The truth you seek is inside of you, that divine guidance, and we don't actually create faith, love, oneness, truth, or divine guidance. It's always right there. It's always inside of you. And so by pulling back the curtains like the Wizard of Oz does when he gets there, and it reminds me of years ago, there was a show called Laugh-In, and there was a guy that would come break through the bushes and go, "Very interesting." Well, in the beginning, there was a cowardly lion. In the end, there was a lion with courage, with faith, conviction. In the beginning, there was a tin man without a heart. And in the end of the story, there was a tin man with love. In the beginning of the story, there was a scarecrow without a brain. And at the end of the story, there was a scarecrow with intelligence. No matter the race, the creed, the religion, the animal, whatever it is, Dorothy, the lion, the tin man, the scarecrow, they were all and all are God in disguise. So we don't actually create any of this. It's all right there, always has been, always will be. And so you can start to open your eyes and get comfortable. And we're going to end with, stop creating the limitations in your life. Be divinely guided. Stop the searching. Be divinely guided and bring in that power of decision. And so it is.
So it is. Thank you, that was wonderful. That was really wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Really wonderful lesson this morning. There's so much to glean from that lesson. The Wizard of Oz, which is a book that was written by Jane Houston, really talks about exactly what they were talking about today. And I really, really love this lesson this morning. I thought it was really a wonderful tribute to the characters of the Wizard of Oz, or the Wizard of Oz, as you so eloquently put that. So thank you, Barbara, and thank you, Gary. And I just want to say a great big thank you to everyone morning. I really enjoyed it and appreciated it. It was really, really good. The one thing, I just want to share one more little thing that I got. I think I love the characters. I saw The Wiz on Broadway many, many years ago. I saw it when it was done with Dorothy Mills. That was an amazing, amazing show. And I'm really dating myself but that was incredible. And this time also I saw Wicked, also on Broadway, which is also the story about the Wizard of Oz. I love what Gary said about Toto, you know, the faithfulness, the loyalty, the characteristics. I think that movie has been voted as one of the best movies of all time because it does contain so much of our humanity in it. And I think it really spoke to those points this morning when you gave that lesson. It was really wonderful. Thank you. Well done. Well done. Okay, so now we're going to have our offering affirmation. And please help me welcome the Levins back again for some offering.
So, one thing I'll never forget as a child, looking at the end of that movie and thinking, they just found out who they were. They just created this sense of community. They found friends, and then they left each other. It's this moment of this of discovery, but also believing in yourself that you have what you have in the moment, so that you can go on your way. And it's fascinating to me that somebody had requested the song today, "Time to Go," and it's a perfect song to end on. Go ahead and start it, and I'll catch up.
It's all one big day. The sun is a maypole, and we are winding, and we are winding away. How many moments are reflecting like diamonds and gather around you to light up your way. Time to go, time to go on our way. Time to go, time to go on our way. Laughter that rises up from the center, tears that are taken, winking away to the sea. A house without walls, and it's open to enter. That is the time that you spend with me. Time to go, time to go on our way. not before God.